Topic 4, lesson 6 on textiles. When we're talking about textiles, we're talking about fabrics used for different applications. Oftentimes we think of clothing, but it certainly doesn't just have to be clothing. So we're going to show lots of examples here. Continuing evolution of the textiles industry provides a wide spread of applications, from high-performance technical textiles to more traditional clothing market, like these onesies. Recent developments require designers to combine traditional textile science and new technologies, leading to exciting applications in smart textiles, sportswear, aerospace, and much more. The raw materials for textiles, traditionally, it was natural materials, things like wool and cotton and silk. But over the last 100 years or so, we've gotten really good at using oil-based products, so petro-based products, and actually making synthetic fibers like polyester and spandex, lycra, and making products out of those. You can see that on the chart. Properties of natural fibres, which is fibers. They didn't list anything for me to tell you about it, so I just pulled this little breakdown right here. So some of these natural fibers are coming from animals, things like silk, wool, hair from different animals. That some of them come from plants, like the fruit, the seed, the bast, the leaf, whatever a bast is. And then some come from natural minerals. An example given is asbestos. And you're probably not going to wear asbestos, but we certainly make it and we use it. Properties of synthetic fibers. Again, they didn't mention what properties we should know. But here's a nice little pie chart, and I don't know what the year is on this, but it gives you a breakdown of how much, roughly, what the annual production is of these different types of materials globally. Here's also another breakdown showing natural fibers, the different types that you might be using, versus man-made fibers and different types you might be using. Now we're going to talk about converting these fibers into actual products. So the example here, turning fibers into yarn. You can see that they're taking some cotton and twisting it into a yarn. Those yarns can then be used to make actual products, and there's different ways of doing that. So weaving would be an example of yarns to fabrics. Knitting is another example. Lace making, which looks super detailed and difficult. Look at the setup on the right. There's like 50 or 100 of these spindles. How do you keep track? Felting. And when we're done with our textiles, what do we do with it? Hopefully, we can recover and dispose of or recycle these textiles. Now, some of them are just thrown away. You think of your clothing when you're done with it. Maybe you drop it off at the thrift store for somebody else to reuse, or maybe you just throw it away. All right, we're going to talk about wool and some of the properties you should know. Really, the only thing IB says is that it shrinks at high temperatures. That's why you don't put your sweaters in the dryer after you wash them. What makes wool so great? I found this online. I thought it would be good. It can be knitted or woven, which gives very different fabrics. It keeps its shape well, as long as you don't let it rest for a while after wear, or as long as you do let it rest. Absorbs moisture, but still feels warm when moist. Is warm, but breathes well in any temperature. Doesn't need to be washed very often. And it doesn't catch fire easily. That's a good thing, especially if you're sheep. Absorbency. We're talking about cotton. One of its main qualities that it's known for is being very absorbent. And that's why in a lot of our houses, we have the little cotton balls that we use to, sometimes you put rubbing alcohol or something on it, or nail polish remover, because it's very absorbent. It can hold moisture, which is a good thing. Unless you're wearing it and you get wet, then you stay wet for a long time. But we make our towels out of it. Silk and properties of silk. Well, they didn't give me any properties to talk about. So what I was going to show you here is that silk, although very lightweight, is a very strong material. So this little chart right here is showing you the extensibility versus the tensile strength. So basically, when you apply a tensile stress onto silk, it doesn't stretch very much. It's a very tough material. And they're comparing it here to Kevlar. Properties of nylon. If you look at nylon, you can see how the polymers are held together. These look like secondary bonds, hydrogen bonds, holding the strands of polymer together, which means that nylon would most likely be a thermoplastic, which makes it recyclable and easier to work with. Nylons were initially created for the use in parachutes because it's lightweight and strong. But then we decided that, hey, nylon looks really good when you put it on your legs. So we started using that too. Polyester and our properties of polyester. And guess what they said? Nothing. So I just put some pictures of polyester on here. It tends to be, it was really popular in like the 70s. Can oftentimes have kind of a shiny luster to it. Lycra, the property they want you to know about this is its elasticity. So it is a stretchier material. International mindedness, the economics and politics of production and scale. And gosh, I'm struggling on this one. Production and sale of clothing by multinationals can be a major ethical issue for consumers and the workforce. What they're saying is a lot of us really like these products that we can find in the textile industry. But the people that are making them are getting paid a fraction of what we're paying for it. So a lot of these textiles are produced in poorer countries where the employees are getting paid very low wages, and then they're getting transported to more affluent countries where the people have money to pay for it. TOK, designers use natural and man-made products. Do some areas of knowledge see an intrinsic difference between these? I have no idea what that means because I'm not a TOK expert, but the outfits you're seeing over here are all 3D printed, and I thought that was pretty cool. All right, here's something else that's really cool. So, when we talk about silk and how strong silk is, we have the spider. The strongest natural silk known to man is harvested from these silk spiders, but it's very difficult to do so and very labor intensive. So what they've done is they've taken DNA, and you can see it down in this little chart. They take some DNA from the spider, they introduced it into this cell from the goat, and then they took that cell and put it, or maybe that's even, I don't know if that's a nucleus that they're showing here, and they combined it with this other goat, and what they've done effectively is they've produced goats that make a milk that has that same protein, that silk protein in their milk, so that silk can now be harvested from the milk of these genetically modified goats. And that makes it much easier to get, and the goats produce it at a much higher rate than what the spiders would produce. So that's how you get spider goat and this scary thing.